Glenn, I want to ask you a little bit about the process of change that's been happening throughout. Yesterday, we had a discussion on supply chain leadership, and I made note of a quotation from a revolutionary of about 100 years ago who said, "For decades, nothing happens, and then there are weeks when decades happen." And I kind of feel like that's been your life just recently, that you and your work have been reaching out to, collaborating in conflict, in collaboration with a whole series of companies who are gradually shifting their position. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's true. We are really in the midst of a revolution in terms of how raw materials are produced. And up until now, too many of them around the world have been produced through deforestation and other ecologically damaging processes. But over really just the last few months, over the last year and a half, I'd say since APP made its announcement, we've seen big change. And so what we did is we went through an analytical process to identify who is the player that can really transform the industry in one fell swoop. And we found this one company that very few people in this country have heard of, which is called Wilmar International. It's Asia's biggest agribusiness company. It controls 45% of global palm oil trade. It's also the biggest soybean importer into China, and one of the world's biggest sugar companies. And it seemed to us that they were uniquely positioned to transform not only the whole palm oil industry, but potentially agriculture more broadly. When Wilmar did this and announced no deforestation, no peat, no exploitation policy, they applied it not only to their own plantations, but to all their third-party suppliers. More than 90% of palm oil companies sell to Wilmar. And it also applies to the sugar and soybean industries. And so it's having a really transformative impact across the world. Since Wilmar has made its announcement, it's been amazing to me that all these consumer companies have now announced their own no deforestation policies, either for palm oil or across all different commodities. Mm-hmm. And we've seen a pace of about one announcement every 2 weeks since Wilmar's announcement from major consumer companies. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Asian companies are actually leading the way. APP, Golden Agri-Resources, and Wilmar were the first ones to make these big no deforestation announcements. We've seen Mars and Kellogg's and Johnson & Johnson and many others follow, and that's fantastic. But as an American, I've got to say, it's time to keep up, guys. And really, global big consumer companies should be taking more of a leadership opportunity. And the way to do that, I think, is not just through acting in your own supply chain, but actually thinking about what are the big leverage points you have to transform entire industries.
I'll just jump in with the story that Glenn was saying, and just that, there are a number of consumer-facing companies represented in this room today, probably a ton of them that don't have zero deforestation commitments on the books yet. But as time goes on, right, every couple of weeks we're getting another one and another one. It really has become the new norm, right? Not sourcing commodities from deforestation will absolutely be what it has to happen in the future. So maybe this sounds like a whole bunch of, words you don't understand, or you don't know how it implicates your supply chain, but I'm telling you to, open up your mind to the possibility of the influence that you can have, right? One company, and really it was Kellogg, but there were dozens others that were talking to Wilmar at the same time, right? It's, just a few companies that have been instrumental in changing what's happening on the ground, right? We never would have gotten APP to change the way they do business if it hadn't have been for the big consumer-facing companies that dropped contracts with them. So really, the power that each individual company has may seem small, but together it's huge. And really, the responsibility for the forest is in your hands. And it's not just about trees, right? It's about the wildlife that call the forest home. It's about the local communities that rely on the forest for their livelihood. It's about climate change and the climate importance of forests. So just to throw that out there, that the power really is in your hands, and we're counting on you.